The message came while I was making breakfast. Mom, change of plans. Stay home. I'm Margaret Chen, and I just spent $25,000 on their dream vacation. For 3 years, my daughter-in-law Amanda treated me like the old lady who couldn't keep up with modern life. She saw my simple dresses, my old car, my quiet ways, and decided I didn't belong in her fancy world. What Amanda didn't know was that 4 years ago, I sold my bakery business for $12 million. She thought my apron meant I was poor. Big mistake. Instead of crying, I made one phone call that changed everything in 2 minutes. If you're watching Granny's Voice today, please subscribe and tell me where you're from. This is how one morning at the airport taught my family that Grandma knows more than they think. Let me go back 3 years. That's when things started changing. My husband Robert died from a heart problem. 40 years together, gone forever. My son David tried helping me feel better. But Amanda, his wife, had different ideas about our family. The first bad sign was Thanksgiving dinner in 2022. Amanda put me at a small table in the corner, away from everyone else. Not even with my granddaughter Sophie, who is 7. With Amanda's teenage cousins who played video games the whole time. When I asked David why, he said, Amanda decides where people sit, Mom. Then came Christmas gifts. I gave them a check for $5,000 to help fix their kitchen. Amanda gave me a $15 gift card to the grocery store. The message was clear. You're just the grandma who bakes cookies. Nothing more. But the really bad moment happened at David's work party last summer. Amanda was talking to her friends by the pool. I was fixing their broken garden fence again without getting paid when I heard her talking through the open window. Poor Margaret just doesn't understand how things work now, she said. David feels bad not including her, but honestly she makes people uncomfortable. Her friend asked, what did she do before? Ran a small bakery. Very simple life. Drives this terrible old Honda. Wears the same old lady clothes everywhere. I keep telling David we need space from her. I stood there holding my tools, listening to them laugh. These women didn't know I paid for the pool they sat beside, the fence I fixed, the money that helped buy their house. See, after Robert died, I'd been quietly helping David and Amanda more than they knew. Their house payment every month was $2,800. I'd been paying it since David lost his teaching job in early 2023. Amanda thought their savings lasted longer than expected. She didn't know her mother-in-law kept them from losing everything. When Sophie broke her leg and needed surgery, that was $12,000 in cash. I gave it to David in a white envelope. Told him forget about paying back. Amanda never asked where the money came from. Their wedding 6 years ago cost $55,000 because Amanda wanted the biggest party in town. I wrote the check because David's salary couldn't pay for Amanda's dreams. She never said thank you once. But here's what hurt most. Every time I came to family events, Amanda found ways to remind everyone we were different. She made comments about my simple clothes, my old car, my quiet personality. Always with a sweet smile like she was being nice. Margaret, maybe you should stay home for this party, she'd say about dinner gatherings. It's mostly David's work friends. Very professional people. Or my favorite comment, don't worry about bringing expensive food, Margaret. We know you're on a tight budget. Tight budget. I had more money in my bank than most people earn in their whole lives. David started making excuses for me. Sorry, Mom's late. She probably got confused about directions. Mom doesn't like fancy restaurants. You know how Mom is with computers. Felt like watching my son erase me piece by piece. I let it happen because I thought being quiet was better than fighting. The breaking point should have been when Amanda forgot to invite me to Sophie's dance show. Or when she changed their door locks without giving me a key, even though I watched their house when they traveled for 4 years. But I stayed quiet, kept writing checks, kept showing up when they needed something fixed or paid for. I thought if I was patient and generous, Amanda would see that family matters more than being fancy. I was completely wrong. The Hawaii vacation was supposed to fix things between us. Amanda posted pictures on Facebook every day about needing a real vacation after David got his new job. She kept showing pictures of the Maui Beach Hotel, telling everyone who would listen. It's where famous people stay, she'd say. $3,000 every night, but absolutely perfect. I did the math in my head. 6 nights for 3 families meant David's family, Amanda's parents, and her brother's family. 9 people total. With airplane tickets, hotel costs, and activities, we needed about $35,000. David called me in October, sounding sad. "Mom, Amanda really wants this vacation, but we can't afford it. Not with the house payment and Sophie's school costs. What if I help pay?" Yes. "Mom, you don't understand. This isn't a camping trip. This is serious money." "How much money?" $25,000 at least for 1 week. I could hear Amanda talking in the background. "Tell her we'll find something cheaper. Maybe a nice place nearby." That night, I called the Maui Beach Hotel myself. I talked to their special guest helper, a nice woman named Lisa, who remembered me from a business trip in 2018 when I still owned Chen's Bakery. "Mrs. Chen, so good to hear from you again. Are you planning to visit us?" I booked everything that night. 3 ocean view rooms, first-class airplane seats for 9 people, private cars at the airport, spa treatments, everything. $24,900 total. I used my special black credit card and had the booking information sent to David. His message came back fast. "Mom, what did you do? This is way too much." Called him right away. "Done. Early Christmas present. But Mom, this is crazy. You can't afford this." There was that word again. Can't afford. From my son, who I'd been secretly supporting for 3 years without him knowing. "David, I want to do this for our family. Your dad would have loved watching Sophie play in that ocean." That made him stop arguing. Robert always dreamed of a fancy beach vacation, but we were too busy running the bakery. By the time we could afford it, he was too sick to travel. For 4 weeks I was the hero. Amanda actually hugged me when David told her the news. She posted on Facebook about family being generous with a picture of the hotel website. No mention of my name, obviously. But still, I started imagining the trip. Teaching Sophie to swim in the ocean, eating dinner with 3 generations at those beautiful beach restaurants. Maybe Amanda would finally see I wasn't just the simple old lady she married into. I even bought new clothes. Not fancy designer ones, but nice clean pants and pretty shirts without stains. I packed my good shoes instead of my old sneakers. The night before leaving, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about Robert. How happy he would be seeing our family together like this. How he would love watching Sophie's face when she saw that beautiful water. But something else kept me awake. A worried feeling that I was trying to buy something that should be free. Respect, inclusion, basic kindness from my son's wife. See, the real problem wasn't the $25,000. I made that much back in investment money in 4 months. The problem was whether I'd keep being treated like a burden in my own family. If I let this vacation happen like they planned, with me as the grateful grandma who should just be happy to come along, it would never change. I'd be the family bank account. Good for emergencies, helpful for big purchases, but not really family. Not really wanted. David started calling me generous in his messages to Amanda's family. My mom's being really generous with this trip. Not my mom wanted to treat the family, or my mom thought this would be fun together. Generous. Like I was some distant relative throwing money at them because I was lonely. And maybe that's exactly what Amanda thought. The lonely widow desperately trying to buy her way into their perfect modern life. The morning we were supposed to leave, I was putting my suitcase in my car when my phone buzzed. Group message from Amanda to the whole family. So excited for our trip. Can't wait to make memories with the people who love us most. 9 people on the trip, 8 people on the message. She left me out on purpose. That's when I understood I was thinking about this wrong. I wasn't buying a vacation. I was teaching a lesson. The question was whether I'd be the student or the teacher. They were about to learn who really had power. The first fight happened at David's backyard party 4 weeks before the trip. Amanda's parents were there with her brother's family and some neighbors. About 25 people total. I was cooking hamburgers on the grill, working for free like always, when Amanda's dad started talking about the vacation plans. "This Hawaii hotel looks amazing," he said, showing pictures on his phone. "Must cost a fortune. Good thing David's doing so well at his new job." David looked at me nervously. We agreed to keep my money secret. The people think it was his idea. I nodded and flipped the hamburgers, but Amanda had different plans. Actually, Margaret paid for everything, she told the whole group. All of it. $25,000. Everyone stopped talking. People turned to stare at me standing there in my apron holding a spatula. That's very generous, Margaret, said Mrs. Parker, Amanda's mother. But her voice sounded like she was wondering where a retired baker gets that kind of money. Amanda kept going. Margaret insisted on paying. I told David it was too much, but you know how stubborn old people get about money. Stubborn old people. In front of 25 guests. Margaret probably saved for years for this, Amanda continued. It's really sweet. Her way of staying connected to the family. Like I was a pet dog. I mean, we could have paid for it ourselves eventually, she added quickly. But Margaret really wanted to help. We didn't want to hurt her feelings by saying no. Every word was a knife cut. She made my gift look like their charity project. Made me the desperate mother-in-law begging for inclusion with money. David tried changing the subject. Mom, these hamburgers smell great. But Amanda's sister Rachel jumped in. That's such a nice thing, Margaret. I know how hard it is to feel useful after you stop working. Feel useful. Good grief. Especially when you're not used to the lifestyle David and Amanda have now. Rachel continued. Must be confusing. I put down the spatula and looked directly at Amanda. What lifestyle is that? You know, Amanda said, laughing nervously. The whole professional world, networking parties, country club stuff. Different from what you know. Different how? Just different groups of people, different expectations. David jumped in. Mom, let's not do this. No, I said quietly. I'd like to understand what expectations mean. Amanda's voice got that sweet fake tone. Margaret, you have to understand, when David's work friends meet the family, first impressions matter. These are people making important business decisions. They notice things like how you present yourself. Present myself. I was wearing clean pants and a nice shirt. Same brands David wore. What about my presentation worries you? It's not worries exactly. It's just, look, you're wonderful, Margaret, but you drive that old Honda. You dress very plain. You talk about baking and gardening. David's boss might not understand that our family is successful. Successful. Family. So the $25,000 I just spent shows what exactly? Amanda's face turned red. She didn't expect me to argue back. That's not what I meant. Because it sounds like you're saying I'm good enough to pay for your lifestyle but not good enough to be part of it. The party went completely silent. Kids were still playing in the yard, but every adult was listening now. David stepped between us. Mom, come on. That's not what she's saying. Then what is she saying? Amanda got her confidence back. I'm saying money isn't everything, Margaret. There's also education, sophistication, knowing how to act in certain situations. Sophistication. Yes, like understanding fancy wine or knowing which fork to use or being able to discuss current news beyond local baking trends. Each word was meant to hurt. She'd been saving these thoughts for months, waiting for the right time to say them. See, I said. So when we get to Hawaii, should I eat by myself? Make sure I don't embarrass you in front of the other sophisticated guests. Margaret, David said sharply. That's enough. But I wasn't talking to David anymore. I was looking directly at Amanda, watching her struggle between wanting to say yes and knowing 25 people were watching. Maybe I should just stay home, I said. Let you enjoy the vacation with people who understand fancy wine. That's not necessary, Amanda said quickly. We want you there. We just think it might be good if you watched how other people behave in that environment. Learn from it. Learn from it. Like I was her school project. You want me to pay $25,000 for lessons in not embarrassing you? Margaret, you're twisting what I said. Am I? Because it sounds like you want me to pay for your lifestyle while staying invisible. Pay for the vacation, then hide in the corner while you network with sophisticated people. David grabbed my arm. Mom, let's talk about this inside. But I wasn't finished. Just so I'm clear, Amanda, what exactly would I need to do to meet your standards of sophistication? She'd backed herself into a corner. Everyone was watching. Her parents, her sister, the neighbors. She had to either apologize or keep going. She kept going. Honestly, Margaret, start by acting like you belong somewhere besides a kitchen. The words hung in the air like smoke. 25 people heard her reduce me to a stereotype. Heard her explain exactly how she saw me. I nodded slowly. Good to know where I stand. Then I walked inside, leaving her to explain herself to a very uncomfortable crowd. The next morning, I got a phone call that should have been my first clue about how this would end. Mrs. Chen, this is Paul Rodriguez from Rodriguez Restaurant Consulting. We have a situation with the downtown food hall project, and my client specifically asked for you. I was sitting on my back porch, still angry from the party embarrassment. Paul, I've been retired for 4 years. I know, ma'am, but this is a $50 million project and they're having problems with kitchen design. The client read about your work on the Scottsdale Culinary Center and insists on your help. They're offering $60,000 for 3 weeks of consulting. $60,000 for 3 weeks. More than most people make in a year. Who's the client? Parker Development Company. They're building that new luxury food market on Mill Avenue. Parker. Same last name as Amanda's mother. Probably no relation, but the irony wasn't lost on me. I'll think about it, Paul. Mrs. Chen, respectfully, they need an answer today. This is the kind of project that makes careers. Your name still means something serious in this industry. After I hung up, I sat there thinking about Paul's words. Your name still means something. In the restaurant world, Margaret Chen meant quality, creativity, food finished on time and under budget. But in Amanda's world, Margaret Chen meant embarrassment. The second hint came that afternoon. I was at the bank putting money in my account when Stephen Martinez, the branch manager, saw me waiting in line. Mrs. Chen, don't wait in line. Come to my office. Stephen handled my business banking for 18 years. Watched me grow from a small bakery to a major food business. He was one of the few people who knew exactly what selling the business had given me. How's retirement treating you? He asked, closing his office door. Complicated. I heard you're taking the family on some fancy vacation. Good for you. How did you hear that? Your daughter-in-law came in last week asking about money transfer limits. Said you were sending money for hotel booking. She seemed surprised by the amounts. Amanda had been checking on my finances, trying to figure out how I could afford the vacation. What did you tell her? Nothing specific. Just that money transfers over $50,000 need extra paperwork. She asked if that was normal for accounts like yours. Stephen paused. I think she was trying to find information about your balance. And I told her privacy laws stop me from discussing any customer's money with other people. But Margaret, she seemed really shocked you were dealing with those kinds of numbers. That evening I got another call. This one from Sophie's soccer coach. Mrs. Chen, I wanted to thank you again for paying for the team equipment. The kids love it. I'd given $6,000 for new uniforms last month. Anonymous donation, but the coach figured out it was me. Did you mention it to anyone? Yes. Just David when I saw him at practice yesterday. Told him what a generous grandmother Sophie has. David seemed surprised you hadn't told him. Of course David was surprised because in Amanda's story, I was the struggling retiree who needed their patience and understanding. She'd never think I might be quietly supporting my granddaughter's activities. The final piece came that weekend. I was cleaning my bedroom when I found Robert's old business folder. Inside was the card from our financial helper, Karen Thompson, and a note in Robert's handwriting. For Margaret. Remember what we built together. Called Karen Monday morning. Margaret, how are you managing? I know Robert's death was devastating. Getting by, Karen. I want to ask you something. If someone wanted to research my financial situation, what would they find publicly? Almost nothing. Your accounts are private. The business sale was done to keep public records small. Unless someone had inside access or hired a private detective, they just know you sold Chen's Bakery for an undisclosed amount. What if they asked you directly? Client privacy rules. I wouldn't tell my own sister about your money. I was invisible, hidden in plain sight. Amanda saw the apron and the old Honda and never looked deeper. She had no idea she married into money. Real money. And that's when I realized something that would change everything. Knowing things is powerful, but hidden knowledge is more powerful. The airport fight happened exactly like I feared it would. I arrived at Phoenix Sky Harbor at 8 o'clock in the morning, pulling my old suitcase from my Honda. The parking garage was already busy with vacation families loading expensive bags onto carts. David's family was waiting at the departure area with enough designer luggage for a 2-month trip. Amanda's parents and her brother's family had already checked in, standing together near the first-class desk, all matching outfits and excitement. I walked over carrying my single bag, wearing clean pants and the new shirt I'd bought specifically for this trip. Amanda took one look at me and her face fell. "Margaret," she said loud enough for everyone to hear. "You can't wear that on the airplane." "What's wrong with what I'm wearing?" "It's very casual. This is first class. There are expectations." Rachel, Amanda's sister, jumped in. Maybe Margaret didn't realize this wasn't a camping trip. Laughter from Amanda's parents. Nervous looks from David. "I have a nice jacket in my bag," I said quietly. "It's not just the clothes," Amanda continued. "It's the whole presentation. Margaret, you have to understand we're going to be around very successful people at this hotel. CEOs, business owners, famous people. They'll be judging our entire family based on how we look." More people were watching now. Other travelers curious about the family drama near the first-class check-in. "So what are you saying?" "Yes." Amanda looked at David, then back at me. "Maybe it would be better if you stayed home this time." The words hit like a punch. "Stay home from the vacation I paid for." "Amanda," David said sharply. "No, David. Someone has to say it. Look around. Look at how everyone else is dressed, how they carry themselves. Margaret is going to stand out for all the wrong reasons." Mrs. Parker nodded. "Amanda's right, Margaret. These hotel places can be very particular about their guests." "Particular how?" "They expect a certain level of sophistication, social awareness. You have to fit in." Amanda's voice got that sweet fake tone again. "Margaret, you're a wonderful person, but you've never been around this level of wealth and privilege. You might not understand the social rules. I might embarrass you." "It's not about embarrassment. It's about respect for the place we're going." David tried to stop this. "Mom, maybe we could talk." "No," Amanda cut him off. "Margaret, I've been thinking about this for weeks. This hotel serves Fortune 500 executives, international celebrities, old money families. People who vacation in expensive places all year. You're going to feel completely out of place." Each word was planned. She'd been rehearsing this speech, thinking of the exact way to exclude me while making it sound like she cared about my comfort. "Plus," Rachel added, "the activities are all very upscale. Wine tasting, boat trips, golf at fancy courses. Nothing really suitable for your interests." "Suitable for my interests." They decided I was too simple for luxury. "So you're uninviting me," I said. "From the vacation I paid for." Amanda's face turned red, but she kept going. "Margaret, we're grateful for your money. Really. But maybe this particular trip isn't the right fit. Maybe we could plan something more appropriate for everyone next time." "More appropriate?" "Something more relaxed, less formal. Maybe a nice cabin somewhere. Something where you'd be comfortable." The family stood there watching this public embarrassment. Amanda's parents nodding, Rachel smirking, David looking torn between loyalty and social pressure. Other travelers were openly staring now. A grandmother being excluded from family vacation by her son's wife in public at the airport. "You want me to drive home," I said, "while you enjoy the $25,000 vacation I bought for this family." "We'll pay you back," Amanda said quickly. "Eventually. When we can. When they could." "With what money?" David's salary barely covered their house payment. The house payment I'd been secretly paying for 3 years. "Margaret," Mrs. Parker said gently. "Maybe Amanda's right. You might be more comfortable somewhere less demanding." Demanding. A beach vacation was too demanding for the simple baker. I looked at David, my son, waiting to see if he'd defend his mother or side with his wife's social dreams. "Mom," he said quietly, "maybe we could plan another trip. Just us. Somewhere more low-key." That's when I knew my own son was choosing Amanda's story over our relationship. Choosing her version of who I was supposed to be. Pulled out my phone. Calm, careful, the way I'd handled business problems for 35 years. Margaret, what are you doing? Amanda asked. Making a phone call. To who? I didn't answer. Just dialed the number I'd memorized 4 weeks ago. Maui Beach Hotel VIP Services. This is Lisa speaking. Lisa, this is Margaret Chen. I have a reservation for 9 people leaving today. Amanda's eyes went wide. She thought I booked through some cheap travel website. Didn't realize I had direct contact with the hotel's VIP services. Mrs. Chen, yes, everything is ready for your group. Your rooms are prepared and the private cars are waiting in Hawaii. I need to cancel everything. Silence on the phone. Gasps from the family. Ma'am, are you sure? This is very last minute and the cancellation fees. Cancel it all right now. I looked directly at Amanda while I spoke. Her face had gone completely white. Mrs. Chen, that's a $24,900 cancellation. I'll need to process a full refund minus the fee. Do it. Margaret, wait, David said, grabbing my arm. You can't just. But I was still talking to Lisa. Also cancel the return flight upgrades and the spa treatments. Certainly, ma'am. I'll have our money department process the refund right away. Is there anything else I can help you with? That's all, Lisa. Thank you. Hung up. The family stood there in shocked silence. Margaret, Amanda whispered. What did you just do? I made sure you won't be embarrassed by me at the Maui Beach Hotel. You canceled our vacation. I canceled my vacation. You're welcome to book your own. That's when the real panic started. The moment everything changed. It started with a voice I didn't expect to hear. Mrs. Chen, Margaret Chen. I turned around. A woman in a Maui Beach hotel uniform was walking toward our group. Tablet in hand, professional smile bright. Nicole Williams, travel coordinator, she said, reaching out her hand. I handle VIP arrangements for Maui Beach. I happened to be here helping another client when I heard your name. Amanda looked confused. Why would a hotel coordinator talk to us at Phoenix Sky Harbor? I wanted to personally thank you for choosing Maui Beach again. Nicole continued. I hope this trip would be as special as your last visit in 2018. Again. Last visit. Amanda's face was a question. You've been to this hotel before? David asked. Nicole answered before I could. Yes. Mrs. Chen stayed in our owner's suite during the restaurant conference. Beautiful oceanfront penthouse. I believe you stayed 2 extra weeks. The owner's suite. Amanda's mouth opened slightly. That's right, I said quietly. Business trip. Well, I'm sad to hear about the cancellation, Nicole said, checking her tablet. Especially for a repeat VIP guest. Is there anything we can do to change your mind? Perhaps a upgrade to the presidential suite. VIP guest. Presidential suite. The words hung in the air. Margaret, Amanda said slowly. How exactly did you afford the owner's suite in 2018? Nicole looked surprised by the question. Mrs. Chen, should I not have said that? It's fine, Nicole. Wait, Rachel said. You stayed at this hotel before on what, a baker's salary? Nicole's professional manner changed slightly. Something in Rachel's tone made her protective of a valued guest. Ma'am, Mrs. Chen isn't a baker. She owned Chen's Bakery, one of the top food businesses in the Southwest. Owned? Amanda asked. The business was sold in 2021, Nicole said, looking at her tablet. I remember because Mrs. Chen called to book our grand villa for a celebration that never happened. Said her husband had passed away. The grand villa. David looked at me like he'd never seen me before. That's when Steven Martinez appeared. I hadn't seen him coming from the business class check-in, but there he was, my bank manager, walking over with obvious recognition. Margaret, what are you doing here? Don't tell me you're flying regular airline. Steven's casual comment hit like a bomb. Flying regular as opposed to what? Just family travel, Steven. That's different. Usually when I process your travel costs, it's private planes or first-class international. He looked at the group curiously. Everything okay with the family trip? Amanda was staring at Stephen like he was speaking another language. Travel costs. Private planes. Stephen, I said carefully. This is my family. David, Amanda, and Amanda's family. Stephen's face got happy. David, I've heard so much about you. Your mother's so proud. He turned to Amanda. And you must be Amanda. Margaret talks about you all the time. You know Margaret professionally. I'm her private banker at Arizona Financial. Have been for 18 years. Watched her build her company from a small shop to. Stephen paused, looking at me. Sorry, Margaret. I assume family knows about the business sale. What business sale? David asked. Stephen looked confused. Chen's Bakery. The sale to Rodriguez Food Group. How much was that sale for? Amanda asked, her voice barely a whisper. Stephen looked at me, then back at her. I can't discuss specific amounts, but it was significant. Enough to make Margaret one of our platinum private clients. Platinum private clients. The pieces were connecting in Amanda's head, but she couldn't believe what she was hearing. Nicole, the hotel coordinator, had been listening with growing understanding. Mrs. Davis, Amanda said automatically. Amanda Davis. Mrs. Davis, I think there might be some confusion here. Your mother-in-law is one of Maui Beach's most valued guests. When she books with us, it's typically our highest level rooms. Define highest level, Rachel said. The owner's suite runs $30,000 per week. The presidential suite is $50,000. Mrs. Chen has stayed in both. Per week. Not per trip. Per week. David was doing math in his head. Mom, how much money do you have? That's when Stephen made the comment that changed everything. Well, I can't give details, but let's just say the interest on Margaret's investments pays more per month than most people's salaries. Interest on investments. More than most salaries per month. Amanda grabbed David's arm. How much interest are we talking about? Stephen looked uncomfortable. I really can't. It's okay, Stephen, I said quietly. They're about to find out anyway. I pulled out my wallet, not the worn one I usually carried, but the slim holder I kept in my car. I handed Amanda my American Express Centurion card. She looked at it like it was poison. What is this? Invitation-only card, Nicole said, recognizing it immediately. Also called the black card. Minimum spending requirement is typically $500,000 per year. $500,000 per year in spending. Amanda's hands were shaking. Margaret, I don't understand. Stephen stepped in. Maybe I can explain. Margaret, with your permission. He nodded. Chen's Bakery was sold 4 years ago for $12 million. The number hit the family like a wave. Jessica actually stumbled backward. $12 million. David whispered. But that's just the business sale. Margaret's investment accounts, property holdings, and cash bring the total net worth to. He looked at me questioningly. They can know, I said. Just over $18 million. $18 million. The words echoed in the suddenly quiet airport space. Amanda was breathing hard. $18 million. Conservative estimate, Stephen said. Market changes, you understand. Nicole was putting pieces together. Mrs. Davis, when you said your mother-in-law didn't fit in at Maui Beach, what exactly were you worried about? I thought she was. Amanda couldn't finish. You thought she was poor, Rachel said flatly. Amanda nodded, tears starting. David was staring at me. Mom, why didn't you tell us? You never asked, I said simply. You assumed I was struggling, so I let you assume. But the old car, the simple clothes. I like my car. I'm comfortable in my clothes. Having money doesn't mean I need to change who I am. Nicole was scrolling through her tablet. Mrs. Chen, I'm looking at your guest history. You've spent over $250,000 at Maui Beach in the past 6 years. $250,000. Amanda was crying now, understanding how big her mistake was. Margaret, she whispered. Had no idea. No, I said calmly. You had an idea. You decided I was beneath your social circle. You judged me based on my appearance and treated me like a burden. Stephen was getting uncomfortable with the family drama. Margaret, I should probably head to my gate. Stephen, one more thing. When Amanda came to the bank asking about my money transfers, What exactly did she want to know? Stephen looked at Amanda, then back at me. She wanted to know if you were taking money out of retirement accounts to pay for the vacation. Said she was worried you were spending money you couldn't handle. Couldn't handle. Even after I'd paid $25,000, Amanda was convinced I was spending money I didn't have. I told her that wasn't the case, Stephen continued, but I couldn't give details. Thank you, Stephen. After he left, the family stood in stunned silence. Other travelers were openly watching now, having heard pieces of the conversation. Nicole cleared her throat. Mrs. Chen, about the cancellation. Given the circumstances, I'd be happy to waive all fees and put back your reservation. That won't be necessary, Nicole. But thank you. Are you sure? I could upgrade the entire group to the presidential suite at no extra cost. Amanda looked up hopefully, but I shook my head. I'm sure. Nicole handed me her card. Please call if you change your mind. Maui Beach would be honored to have you again. After she left, Amanda finally found her voice. Margaret, I'm so sorry. Had no idea. You thought exactly what you wanted to think. That I was the embarrassing poor relative you had to tolerate. But if I'd known, you'd have treated me differently. She nodded eagerly. That's exactly the problem, Amanda. You treated me based on what you thought I was worth in money. That's not respect. That's calculation. The truth was settling over the entire family now. Every comment, every exclusion, every mean remark, all based on a completely wrong idea about my money. David finally spoke. Mom, what happens now? I looked at my son, then at his wife, then at the extended family who'd spent 3 years treating me like a burden. Now you all learn what respect actually costs. Pulled out my phone again. This time I didn't explain who I was calling. The first call was to my lawyer, Thomas Wilson. Tom, it's Margaret Chen. I need you to stop payment on a check. Margaret, good morning. With check. $80,000 made out to Desert Home Mortgage. Check number 5892. I could hear papers moving. That's the down payment for your son's house purchase. That's right. Margaret, if I stop payment now, their financing fails. They'd lose the house. Understand. Amanda grabbed my arm. What house purchase? Covered the phone. The house you're living in. Bought it. You've been living in my house for 8 months. Her face went white. That's impossible. Tom, processed the stop payment right away. Are you certain about this, Margaret? It's a big financial commitment they'll lose. I'm certain. After I hung up, Amanda was almost having a panic attack. Margaret, what are you talking about? We bought that house. We have a mortgage. You have a mortgage for $150,000. The house costs $230,000. I paid the $80,000 down payment through a company so you could qualify for the loan. David was staring at me. Mom, that's our house. Actually, it's my house. The paperwork shows 60% ownership to Chen Properties LLC. That's my company. You own our house. I own controlling interest in your house, which means I can force a sale. The second call was to Stephen Martinez. Stephen, Margaret again. I need to stop the automatic transfers from my account to Desert Home Mortgage. The monthly payments for your son's house. Those are the ones. Margaret, that's $2,800 a month. If those payments stop, they'll go into default within 60 days. Are you sure about this? Stop the transfers. Effective immediately. Amanda was crying now. Margaret, you can't do this. We have a child. Sophie's in school. You should have thought about Sophie before you decided I was too embarrassing to join the family vacation I paid for. The third call was to my financial helper, Karen Thompson. Karen, it's Margaret. I need you to move the college fund. Which college fund? The one for Sophie Davis. $65,000. Amanda screamed. You set up a college fund for Sophie. Karen, move those funds to my personal account. Margaret, are you sure? That fund has been growing for 4 years. I'm sure. After I hung up, the family was in complete chaos. Amanda was sobbing. David was trying to understand what was happening. And Amanda's parents were frantically whispering to each other. Margaret, David said desperately. Please don't do this. We can fix this. Fix what? The fact that your wife spent 3 years treating me like a burden. The fact that she just publicly excluded me from a vacation I funded. She didn't know. She didn't want to know. She saw what she wanted to see and treated me accordingly. The fourth call was to Paul Rodriguez from Rodriguez Restaurant Consulting. Paul, Margaret Chen about that downtown food hall consulting job. Margaret, did you decide to take it? I did, but I want to add a condition. What's that? I want my name displayed large on the project signs. Project consultant Margaret Chen, Chen's Bakery. That's unusual, but for $60,000 in consulting fees, we can make that happen. Make it happen. I hung up and looked at Amanda. In 4 months, there will be a sign downtown with my name on it. Margaret Chen, restaurant consultant. Just in case any of your sophisticated friends want to know what I do for work. Amanda was breathing hard. Margaret, please. We can talk about this. We can fix our relationship. Our relationship was never broken, Amanda. You just decided it wasn't worth having. But I didn't know about the money. Exactly. You treated me like trash when you thought I was poor. Now that you know I'm wealthy, suddenly you want to fix things. David stepped forward. Mom, what do you want? What would make this right? I looked at my son, the boy I'd raised, supported, and quietly helped for 38 years. I want respect, David. Not because of my bank account. Because I'm your mother. You have my respect. Do I? Because 30 minutes ago you were ready to let your wife exclude me from the family vacation. David couldn't argue with that. Margaret, Amanda whispered. How do we fix this? You don't fix this. You live with the results of your choices. What results? You wanted me out of your sophisticated social circle. You got your wish. I picked up my suitcase and started walking toward the exit. Margaret, where are you going? David called. To my house, the one I actually own. The aftermath happened exactly as I'd expected, but faster than anyone was ready for. By Tuesday morning, David was calling every hour. Mom, we need to talk. Amanda wants to apologize properly. She had 3 years to apologize. She chose humiliation instead. But Mom, we're going to lose the house. You were never going to keep the house, David. You couldn't afford the down payment, and you can't afford the mortgage without my help. The first real result hit Wednesday. Amanda's book club friends started calling, having heard about the airport incident through Rachel, who couldn't resist sharing the drama. Is it true your mother-in-law is a millionaire? They asked. Is it true she owns your house? Amanda tried damage control. Posted a message on Facebook about family misunderstandings and not judging quickly. But the sophisticated social circle she'd been so worried about protecting had already heard the story. Thursday brought the legal notice. My lawyer filed papers to force the sale of the house due to breaking the co-ownership agreement. David had 30 days to buy my 60% share or leave the property. Margaret, David said during his Thursday evening call. You're destroying my family. I'm protecting mine. There's a difference. Sophie doesn't understand why we have to move. Tell Sophie her grandmother Amanda decided Grandma Margaret wasn't good enough for the family vacation. So Grandma Margaret decided they weren't good enough for her house. Mom, that's cruel. Cruel was watching your wife exclude me in front of 25 people at the airport. Cruel was listening to her explain why I wasn't sophisticated enough for her social circle. Friday brought the mortgage crisis. Without my monthly payments, Desert Home Mortgage sent a default notice. Amanda called crying. Margaret, please. Just until we can figure something out. Figure what out? You don't have $2,000, let alone $2,800 for the mortgage. David's getting a raise. David's getting a 4% raise. That's $250 a month before taxes. You need $2,800. I'll get a second job. Amanda, you make $38,000 a year in marketing. David makes $72,000 in teaching. Your monthly costs are $5,200. The math doesn't work. The weekend brought social results. Amanda's parents stopped taking her calls after realizing they'd helped humiliate a millionaire. Rachel posted on Facebook about family drama and learning about assumptions, making herself look like the wise sister who'd seen it coming. Monday morning, David showed up at my house without warning. Mom, we need to move back in with Amanda's parents. Why are you telling me this? Because Sophie's asking why Grandma Margaret doesn't love us anymore. That hit harder than I expected. Sophie was 7 years old. She didn't understand adult fights about respect and social status. I love Sophie. This isn't about her. Then stop punishing her for Amanda's mistakes. I looked at my son standing in the doorway of the house I'd built, asking me to reconsider results his wife had earned. David, do you understand what happened at that airport? Amanda made a mistake. Amanda showed who she really is. After 3 years of disrespect, after countless comments about my social status, after treating me like a burden she had to tolerate, she decided to exclude me from the vacation I paid for. She's sorry. She's sorry she got caught. She's sorry she didn't know about the money. She's not sorry about how she treated me. Tuesday brought the breaking point. Amanda called at 7 o'clock in the morning, sobbing. Margaret, I'm pregnant. I sat down heavily. What? 12 weeks. We were going to tell everyone on the vacation. That's why I was so stressed about everything being perfect. Pregnant. A grandchild. Everything suddenly felt more complicated. Margaret, please. I know I was wrong. I know I treated you terribly, but there's going to be another baby, and I can't raise 2 children while living with my parents. Closed my eyes. Robert would have wanted me to help. Would have insisted that family comes first, always. But Robert also would have been shocked by Amanda's behavior. Would have demanded real change, not just apologies driven by money desperation. Amanda, being pregnant doesn't erase 3 years of disrespect. I know, but can we please talk? Can we figure out a way forward that doesn't destroy Sophie's life? What are you proposing? Family counseling. Real conversations about respect and boundaries. A genuine apology, not just words. I thought about Sophie, about my unborn grandchild, about the difference between justice and revenge. One conversation, I said finally. All 3 of us. You, David, and me. If you can convince me you understand what went wrong and how to fix it, we'll discuss terms. Conditions for rebuilding this relationship. Starting with respect. Wednesday we had that conversation. The meeting happened at my kitchen table, the same table where I'd written the check for their wedding 6 years ago. Amanda looked exhausted. 3 weeks of money stress, social embarrassment, and pregnancy hormones had taken their toll. But for the first time in 3 years, when she looked at me, I saw something different. Not calculation, not judgment. Something closer to understanding. Margaret, she said quietly. I need you to know that I understand what I did wrong. Tell me. I judged you based on appearances and assumptions. I treated you like you were less than us when you were actually supporting us. I made you feel unwelcome in your own family. It was a start, but I needed more. Why did you do it? Amanda took a shaky breath. 'Cause I was insecure. My friends had these successful families. Parents with obvious money and status. I wanted our family to look like that. I thought if you looked different, it made Tommy and me look bad. So you decided I was the problem. I decided you didn't fit the image I wanted. And that was wrong. Incredibly wrong. David jumped in. Mom, we want to rebuild this relationship. What would that look like? I'd been thinking about this for 3 weeks. What did I actually want? Respect, I said simply. Not because of my money. Because I'm your mother and your family. What does that mean practically? Amanda asked. It means including me in family decisions that affect me. It means not making assumptions about what I can or can't afford. It means treating me like a valued family member, not a burden or an embarrassment. And financially, David asked. I'll restore the college fund for Sophie and the new baby. I'll help with the mortgage until you can manage it on your own. But Amanda, you get a job that pays enough to contribute meaningfully to your household. Can do that. And the house ownership stays split. You'll earn full ownership over time through consistent respect and inclusion. They agreed to my terms. Not because they had a choice, but because they finally understood what they had almost lost. 4 months later, Sophie asked me to teach her how to make cookies. Amanda signed her up for the lesson without checking whether it fit her image of sophistication. That's when I knew we were going to be okay. The real turning point came 6 months after the airport. Amanda had her baby, a beautiful boy they named Robert after my late husband. When they asked me to be in the delivery room, I knew something had fundamentally changed. "Margaret," Amanda said, holding baby Robert. "I want to tell you something I should have said 3 years ago." "What's that?" "Thank you. Not for the money. For never giving up on us even when we didn't deserve it." I looked at my daughter-in-law, holding my grandson, named after the love of my life. Amanda had spent the past 6 months proving her apology wasn't just words. She got a better job, making $65,000 a year in corporate marketing. Started contributing $1,500 monthly to the mortgage. More importantly, she'd invited me to every family dinner, every school event, every important moment. Not because she had to, but because she genuinely wanted me there. The book club friends who'd once heard her mock me now heard her talk about what an amazing businesswoman her mother-in-law was. The sophisticated social circle she'd been so worried about impressing now knew the truth. Margaret Chen wasn't the embarrassing poor relative. She was the successful entrepreneur who'd built an empire from a small bakery. Amanda's parents apologized too, though it took them longer. They showed up at my house one Sunday with flowers and genuine remorse. "Margaret, we were wrong," Mrs. Parker said. "We judged you based on superficial things and participated in excluding you. We're deeply sorry." I accepted their apology because holding on to anger would only hurt me. But I didn't forget. Forgiveness doesn't require amnesia. The most healing moment came at Sophie's 8th birthday party. Amanda had invited me to help plan it, asking for my input on everything from decorations to food. "Grandma," Sophie said, pulling me aside. "Mom says you used to own a big bakery. Is that true?" "It is, sweetheart. Will you teach me how to bake?" "Love to." Amanda overheard and smiled. "Margaret, if you're willing, maybe Sophie could spend weekends with you learning the business. Like an apprenticeship." That's when I realized Amanda wasn't just tolerating my presence. She was actively trying to build the relationship we should have always had. The house situation resolved itself naturally. Over 18 months, David and Amanda made consistent payments, showed consistent respect, included me consistently in their lives. On baby Robert's first birthday, I had my lawyer transfer the remaining house ownership to them. "Paid in full," I said, handing David the deed. "Mom, you didn't have to do this." "Yes, I did. Because that's what family does when family acts like family." David cried. Actually cried. Held me tight and whispered, "I'm sorry I didn't stand up for you sooner. I should have protected you from the beginning." The financial aspects were never really about money. They were about power dynamics and respect. Once Amanda understood she couldn't manipulate or exclude me, once she realized my worth wasn't tied to my appearance, everything changed. The college funds were fully restored. Sophie's had grown to $85,000. Baby Robert started at $75,000. I'd continue contributing to both, not as leverage, but as love. The consulting job at the downtown food hall became a massive success. My name on that billboard downtown became a source of pride for David and Amanda. "Look," Sophie would say, pointing at it. "That's my grandma Margaret." Amanda would take pictures and post them on Facebook with captions like, "So proud to be part of this family." The sophisticated friends who'd once heard her mock me now heard her brag about me. 1 year after the airport incident, Amanda planned a surprise party for my 67th birthday. She'd invited everyone. Family, old business colleagues, friends from my bakery days. She stood up to make a toast, her voice shaking with emotion. "A year ago, I made the biggest mistake of my life. I judged Margaret based on what I could see, not who she actually was. I excluded her, disrespected her, and took her generosity for granted. She had every right to walk away from us forever. But she didn't. She taught us a lesson about respect, dignity, and what really matters in family. Margaret, you didn't just give us financial support. You gave us a chance to become better people. Thank you for not giving up on us." The room applauded. I looked around at faces that now showed genuine respect, not because they knew my bank balance, but because they'd watched me stand up for myself with grace. David added his own toast. My mother taught me that real strength isn't about how much money you have. It's about knowing your worth and demanding others recognize it too. Mom, you've always been sophisticated. We were just too blind to see it. The Hawaii vacation eventually happened, but on very different terms. 2 years after the airport incident, I planned a family trip. Not to prove anything, not to buy affection, but because I genuinely wanted to create good memories with my family. This time, when we arrived at the airport, Amanda linked her arm through mine. Margaret, thank you for giving us another chance at this. This time, when other travelers looked at us, they saw what we actually were. A real family with real respect, real love. The vacation was everything I'd hoped for the first time. Sophie learned to snorkel. Baby Robert played in the sand. David and I had long talks about his childhood, about his father, about healing. Amanda took pictures, but not for social media. Just for us. For our family albums. One evening, sitting on the beach watching the sunset, Amanda sat beside me. Margaret, can I ask you something? Course. Why did you forgive us? You could have walked away forever. I watched Sophie and David building sandcastles. Baby Robert laughing in the waves. Because family is worth fighting for. But I wasn't going to fight for a family that didn't respect me. You had to learn that lesson the hard way. I'm glad you made us learn it. I'm a better person now. A better wife, a better mother. You gave me that gift. I didn't give you anything, Amanda. I just stopped accepting less than I deserved. You did the work of changing. The lessons from that airport confrontation rippled through our entire family. Sophie grew up watching her mother treat her grandmother with genuine respect. She learned that appearances don't define worth, that money isn't the measure of a person's value, that respect is earned through character, not bank accounts. David became a better husband, better father. He learned to stand up for what's right, even when it's uncomfortable. He learned that keeping the peace isn't worth losing your integrity. The extended family learned too. Rachel apologized eventually, admitting she'd been jealous of Amanda's life and had enjoyed watching someone else get knocked down. Amanda's parents became some of my biggest supporters, having learned their own lesson about judgment. The book club friends who'd once participated in mocking me became genuine friends. They'd learned that sophistication isn't about designer clothes or expensive cars. It's about character, integrity, treating people with dignity regardless of their circumstances. 3 years after the airport, Amanda got promoted to marketing director, making $95,000 annually. She called me first with the news. Margaret, I got the promotion. That's wonderful. I couldn't have done this without you. Without my money. Without your example. You showed me that real success isn't about impressing other people. It's about being someone worth respecting. You taught me to value substance over style. That lesson made me better at my job, better at life. The relationship I have with my grandchildren is everything I hoped for. Sophie, now 10, spends weekends at my house learning to bake. She's talking about opening her own bakery someday. Robert, now 3, calls me Gamma Maggie and insists on helping in the kitchen. He's too young to understand the story of the airport incident, but he'll learn it someday. He'll learn that his Gamma Maggie stood up for herself, that she demanded respect and taught his mother what family really means. David and I rebuilt our relationship too. Stronger than before. He understood now that supporting your parents isn't just about being there in old age. It's about defending them when they're disrespected, standing up for them when they're judged unfairly. One afternoon, 4 years after the airport, David and I were working in my garden. Sophie and Robert were playing nearby. Amanda was making lunch inside. Mom, David said quietly, I need to tell you something. What's that? I'm proud of you. For what? For teaching me what self-respect looks like. For showing me that love without respect isn't really love at all. You could have just walked away from us. Cut us off completely. But you gave us a chance to grow. That took courage. I looked at my son, gray starting to show in his hair, lines around his eyes from years of laughter and stress. David, I couldn't walk away. You're my son. But I also couldn't stay and accept disrespect. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is set boundaries. He hugged me tight. Get that now. The story of the airport incident became family legend. Not something we hid, but something we talked about openly. A teaching moment about respect, assumptions, and redemption. When Sophie asks about it now, Amanda tells the truth. I was wrong, she says. I judged Grandma Margaret based on how she looked and how much money I thought she had. I treated her badly and excluded her from a vacation she paid for. It was cruel and unfair. What happened? Sophie always asks, even though she knows the story. Grandma Margaret taught me a lesson I'll never forget. She showed me that respect isn't optional. That family means treating each other with dignity. That money doesn't define worth. Why did you learn? Because Grandma Margaret loved me enough to let me face the consequences of my actions. She didn't just forgive me easily. She made me work to earn back her trust. 5 years after the airport, we planned another Hawaii vacation. This time, everyone was genuinely excited to include me. Margaret, we should book the presidential suite, Amanda suggested. You deserve it. I shook my head. Let's get something nice but reasonable. This trip isn't about showing off. It's about being together. That's how I knew the lesson had truly stuck. Amanda was no longer impressed by expensive things for their own sake. She valued experiences, relationships, genuine connection. The vacation was magical. All 3 generations together, creating memories that mattered. One evening, Amanda and I walked along the beach alone. The sun was setting, painting the sky orange and pink. Margaret, she said, I need to tell you something. I'm listening. Sometimes I still can't believe how close I came to losing you. How close I came to destroying our family because of my stupid pride and insecurity. I don't think about what we almost lost, Amanda. I think about what we gained. What did we gain? Authenticity. Real relationships built on respect, not assumptions. You learned who you want to be. I learned to stand up for myself. David learned to choose what's right over what's easy. Our family is stronger because we went through that fire. She cried. Happy tears this time. I love you, Margaret. I love you too, Amanda. And I mean that. The financial aspects became irrelevant over time. Yes, I'm wealthy. Yes, I continue to help David and Amanda financially when appropriate. But money is no longer the elephant in the room. It's just a tool we use to build the life we want. Amanda never asks about my finances anymore. She doesn't need to know exact numbers. She trusts that I'll help when needed and respects my choices when I don't. David doesn't worry about whether he's living up to some financial expectation. He knows I'm proud of him for who he is, not what he earns. 6 years after the airport, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. Stage 2. Treatable but serious. The family rallied around me in ways that proved everything had changed. Amanda took a leave of absence from work to drive me to treatments. David moved in temporarily to help with daily tasks. Sophie and Robert made cards and drawings to cheer me up. They didn't help because of obligation or guilt. They helped because they genuinely loved me. During one particularly rough chemotherapy session, Amanda held my hand. Margaret, I'm so scared of losing you. I'm going to be fine, sweetheart. It's not just that. It's that I wasted 3 years treating you badly. 3 years I can never get back. Those years taught us what we needed to learn. Without that airport incident, we might still be living a lie. Pretending to be close while resentment grew underneath. But I could have learned that lesson without hurting you. Maybe. Or maybe this was exactly how it needed to happen. Some lessons only stick when the consequences are real. The cancer went into remission after 8 months of treatment. The victory celebration Amanda threw wasn't about impressing anyone. It was genuine joy that I'd survived. At the party, David stood up to speak. 6 years ago, my mother taught our family the most important lesson we've ever learned. She taught us that respect isn't negotiable. That family requires more than blood. It requires genuine appreciation for each other. Mom, you fought for yourself when we didn't deserve it. And now you've fought cancer and won. You're the strongest person I know. The years that followed were the sweetest of my life. Sophie graduated 5th grade with honors. Robert started kindergarten. Amanda got promoted again. David published a book about education reform. And I was included in everything. Not as an afterthought, not as an obligation, but as a cherished member of the family. 8 years after the airport, Sophie asked me about the black credit card. Grandma, Mom said you have a special credit card that means you're rich. Is that true? I sat her down for a real conversation. Have money, yes. But that's not what makes me special or important. What makes you important? The way I treat people. The businesses I built. The values I live by. Money is just a tool, Sophie. Can help you do good things, but it doesn't make you a good person. Did Mom treat you badly because she thought you were poor? She did. But she learned better. And now she's a wonderful daughter-in-law and a great mother to you. Sophie thought about this. I'm glad she learned. Me too, sweetheart. Me too. 9 years after the airport incident, Amanda and I wrote a book together. It was her idea. Margaret, I think our story could help other families. Help them understand the dangers of judging based on appearances. Help them learn about respect before they make the mistakes I made. We called it Beneath the Apron, a story about worth, respect, and family redemption. It became a bestseller, not because people were interested in the money aspect, but because they resonated with the themes of judgment, growth, and forgiveness. We did speaking engagements together. Mother-in-law and daughter-in-law, telling our story of conflict and healing. Amanda was always honest about her mistakes. I never sugar-coated my pain. People appreciated the authenticity. After one speaking event, a young woman approached us crying. My mother-in-law and I are in the same situation you were in, she said. I've been treating her terribly because I thought she wasn't good enough for our family. I need to fix this before it's too late. Amanda hugged her. It's not too late. Apologize genuinely. Make changes in your behavior. Show her through consistent actions that you value her. That moment made everything worth it. Our painful experience was helping other families avoid the same mistakes. 10 years after the airport, we finally took the trip that started it all. Hawaii Maui Beach Hotel. All of us. David, Amanda, Sophie, now 17 and applying to culinary schools. Robert, now 12 and interested in business. And me, now 75 years old, healthy, happy, and surrounded by family that genuinely loves and respects me. We stayed in nice rooms, but not the presidential suite. We didn't need to prove anything anymore. One evening, the whole family gathered on our balcony watching the sunset. Remember 10 years ago? David asked. When this was supposed to be the trip that tore us apart. Amanda smiled. Best thing that never happened. 'Cause what had happened changed everything. Sophie, who'd heard the story many times, asked the question that mattered most. Grandma, do you think you'd do it differently if you could go back? Thought carefully. No, I said. Would I have preferred Amanda treated me respectfully from the beginning? Course. But given how things actually were, I wouldn't change my response. Standing up for myself, demanding respect, letting you all face consequences, that was exactly what needed to happen. Robert, ever practical, asked. But Grandma, weren't you sad when you canceled the vacation? Heartbroken, I admitted. But sometimes love requires tough choices. Sometimes protecting yourself is the most loving thing you can do because it forces everyone to grow. That night, Amanda knocked on my hotel room door. Come in. She sat beside me on the bed, holding a wrapped box. What's this? Your 75th birthday is next month. I wanted to give this to you early. Private moment. I unwrapped it carefully. Inside was a photo album. Every page showed pictures from the past 10 years. Sophie's school plays with me in the audience. Robert's soccer games with me cheering. Family dinners with me at the head of the table. Holidays, birthdays, ordinary Tuesdays. Every image showed me included, valued, loved. The last page had a letter in Amanda's handwriting. Dear Margaret, 10 years ago, I was a foolish woman who thought sophistication meant designer clothes and expensive tastes. I thought worth could be measured by appearance. I thought family was about obligation, not love. You taught me I was wrong about everything. These pictures show what I almost destroyed. They show what you gave me a chance to build. A real family based on real respect. Thank you for fighting for yourself. Thank you for teaching me to be better. Thank you for loving us enough to demand we love you properly in return. You are the most sophisticated, successful, remarkable woman I know. And I'm honored to call you family. Love always, Amanda. Cried reading it. Happy tears. Healing tears. We hugged for a long time, and I realized this moment right here was what the past 10 years had been building toward. Complete healing. Complete restoration. The rest of the vacation was perfect. Not because everything was fancy, though the hotel was beautiful, but because we were genuinely enjoying each other. No pretense, no performance, just family. On our last night, I gathered everyone together. Have something to say. They all looked at me with love and attention. 10 years ago, I made a phone call that changed our family. I canceled a vacation and set in motion events that could have destroyed us. But instead, it saved us. I want you all to know that I don't regret any of it. Not the pain, not the confrontation, not the tough love. Because it gave us this authenticity, respect, real love. Sophie, Robert, I want you to remember this story. Not the parts about money, but the parts about worth. You are valuable because of who you are, not what you have. Demand respect from others. And give respect freely. David, Amanda, thank you for doing the hard work of changing. Thank you for choosing growth over pride. Thank you for loving me the way I deserved all along. David spoke through tears. Mom, thank you for not giving up on us. Amanda added. Thank you for teaching us what love actually requires. We flew home the next day, and I reflected on the journey. 10 years from airport confrontation to complete family healing. It wasn't a straight path. There were setbacks, hard conversations, moments of doubt. But we persevered because we chose to. Because respect and love are worth fighting for. Back home, life continued its beautiful ordinary rhythm. Sunday dinners at my house. Sophie's culinary school applications. Robert's basketball games. Work, school, family. The simple, precious moments that make up a life. One Sunday, 3 months after the Hawaii trip, Amanda pulled me aside. Margaret, I'm pregnant again. Surprise baby at 42. We weren't planning it, but we're thrilled. I hugged her tight. That's wonderful news. There's something else. We want to name her Sarah, after David's mom. That's okay with you. I burst into tears. Robert would have loved that. Amanda would have loved you. She smiled. I hope I'm half the woman she was and half the woman you are. You're exactly the woman you need to be, Amanda. You learned and grew and became authentically yourself. That's all anyone can do. The pregnancy progressed beautifully. Baby Sarah was born healthy and perfect 9 months later. When Amanda handed her to me in the hospital, she whispered, "This is your do-over, Margaret. The grandchild you get to love from day one, without any conflict or misunderstanding. Just pure love." I looked at tiny Sarah, her perfect little face, her tiny fingers wrapped around mine. She represented everything we'd built over 10 years. New life, new chances. New joy built on a foundation of hard-won respect. The years continued to unfold. Sophie graduated high school, got into a top culinary school. Robert excelled in middle school. Baby Sarah grew into a toddler, then a little girl. David and Amanda's relationship strengthened. My health remained good. And through it all I was included, valued, loved. Not because of my money, though I continued to help financially when appropriate, but because I was Grandma Margaret, the matriarch who taught everyone the most important lesson. Respect isn't optional. Worth isn't negotiable. Family requires authenticity. 12 years after the airport, Sophie opened her first bakery. Chen's Second Rising, she called it. A tribute to my original bakery and to second chances. At the grand opening, she gave a speech. My Grandma Margaret taught me that success isn't about impressing people. It's about being true to yourself.